And we are live, and welcome guys to another live stream here on my channel. Of course, I am Robbie One Kenobi, and today, of course, I am joined by one of my fellow Horsemen brothers. Unfortunately, we will not be joined by Daniel Gaiza and Gene from BSP Wrestling Show today. They do have obligations. So unfortunately, guys, no Daniel Gaiza and no Gene from the BSP Wrestling Show. BSP Wrestling Show today.
Oh, son of a bitch! It's me, Austin!
But I do have one, of course, one of my Horseman brothers with me, and that is Mike, a.k.a. the Club of the Man 1993. Mike, thank you for joining me.
Sure thing, Robbie. It's good to be on. I look forward to discussing this topic as well as we've been discussing over the past few days.
Yes. Now, today's video topic has been a few weeks in the making. This video's gone through a couple interesting changes. A few weeks ago, I was supposed to do this live stream with Daniel Gaiza. It was going to be about the same topic we're talking about right now. NXT call-ups to the main roster. We were going to be discussing it, and unfortunately, he was unable to make it, and I really didn't consider rescheduling the video or anything. Then on Friday, Mike had the day off. He was free. He had nothing pretty much. He was free. So he had nothing to do. He was looking to collaborate with us, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to collaborate with him, and Daniel wasn't either, but we're free today, and with Daniel, unfortunately, not being able to join us, it's going to be Mike and I tackling this topic. And like I said, we're going to be talking about NXT call-ups to the main roster. The title of this video, originally it was called The Curse of the NXT Call-ups, but I came up with something a little more unique, and it's from NXT to the main roster, the gift and the curse. So basically, we are going to talk about NXT call-ups, the good and the bad, and we're going to talk about what we liked about certain call-ups, what we haven't liked, and then at the end, we will give you our list of top 5 best NXT call-ups and top 5 worst NXT call-ups. So, Mike, I'm going to start with you, and I'm just going to ask you right off the bat, what has been the most frustrating thing about certain NXT call-ups recently?
The most frustrating thing is, well, making these lists that I made, I literally had to look at the main roster and go by who it was called from NXT. Now, to me, it was people from 2015 on, because before that, I don't want to mix people up with like FCW or NXT as well. But a lot of people, because 2015 was the first year that really struck me as like, okay, they really aren't sticking to their game plans with other stars, because that was the first year that they really started shoving like Roman Reigns down our throats, and a lot of people seem to not factor into the plans. There's a lot of people. There's some people who did get in the world title opportunities, but there's a lot of people who just came up and they just did not know what to do with them. Some people have gotten gimmick changes. Some that have not gotten the opportunities. I mean, there's some people who I left off this list because it's either too early to say if they've been a success or not. There's some that have had their moments, but then have their directionless moments at times. There are some that have had some accomplishments and even a few little downsides, but they've still been successful. But then there's some that just literally have not gone anywhere at all. So I'd say it's kind of like a mixed bag of results, I'd say, as far as the call-ups go.
It has, because and I always say this, and it's so damn frustrating to see a lot of these great stars flourish in NXT because they're built properly, they're given the proper character development, and then when it comes to the main roster, they don't have any of that luster that made them so special on NXT. It's like once they get to the main roster, they're in the hands of someone or a bunch of people in terms of creative that have no idea how to book them, and it's just like, I can only imagine how frustrating it is for Triple H to see all that homegrown talent that he helped build get up to the main roster and become so irrelevant. I can only imagine the frustration. I've said this time and time again in other videos. It's just frustrating. It's like the people on the main roster creative have no idea how to properly book the NXT talent because they're so concerned with other talent, that they gotta book and push to the moon. Whether you're a Roman Reigns, a John Cena, or a Jinder Mahal, I'm just saying, it's frustrating, and you see guys like Austin Aries, who had a short run in NXT, and he was doing fine. He did get lost in the shuffle a little bit when Nakamura came up,
right,
when he debuted in NXT. But Austin Aries was doing fine, before he got injured, And then they brought him to the main roster, and you know, when we found out he was going to be going for the cruiserweight division, we thought, okay, maybe that was the fire that the cruiserweight division needed to get, you know, to pick itself up off its feet. And while he did have, you know, 2 good matches with Neville for the cruiserweight title, he never really did anything after that. They wanted to just keep him in the cruiserweight division when Austin Aries could have been an Intercontinental or Tag Team Champion or United States Champion if he was on SmackDown. And that's why he left. He just did not like the direction they had for him. And I don't blame him. So
not at all.
And then look at Neville recently. Neville walked out on WWE. He's not coming back pretty much because he doesn't like the direction he was in after he dropped the cruiserweight title to, of all people, Enzo Amore.
Enzo Amore. Ugh. I don't blame him for being upset about that. He was supposed to, the night that Kalisto won the title, he was supposed to lose again to Enzo that night.
That's why he walked out.
Like how fresh would that been? It was the same match pretty much we'd be seeing from No Mercy. There was like nothing different, no other stakes onto it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, before Neville finally got that big break as the king of the cruiserweights and won the title, they were not doing anything with him. You know, I was so happy when he came up to the main roster the night after WrestleMania 31. He had a strong debut, but the problem was they never capitalized. I mean, there was the one bright spot he had on the main roster before going to the cruiserweight division was that match with Seth Rollins where it looked like he actually won the championship.
Yes, that I read that. Yes, one of his.
But here's another problem I had with Neville coming to the main roster. They gave him a cape, and they changed his look. Like that's another thing I hate about NXT call-ups to the main roster.
They have different like ideas for them.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like Neville, okay, I get it. He's a high flyer, and the kids like the high flyers because they're superheroes, like a Rey Mysterio Jr. But why are you giving him a damn cape? Why are you changing his gear to look, you know, to have the little emblem here with the superhero cape? Why not just let him be Adrian Neville like he was on NXT? That's what I hate.
Isn't that the reason why you called him up in the first place? Because they've developed, like, you know, a character, they've developed who they are, now you're bringing them up and making them a completely different person, you know?
Exactly. And, you know, like, with all that great NXT talent still over in NXT, I just dread the day they're going to get that call to the main roster because I'm afraid they're not going to. Let me run down a few talents that are most likely going to get called up soon that have done great things in NXT and that I really hope don't get screwed on the main roster. Authors of Pain, Billy Kay, Peyton Royce, Ember Moon's going to get a call soon. You got to believe. Yeah. I mean, Hideo Itami is going to eventually get a call up. Yeah.
I'm worried he's going to go to the cruiserweight division, though.
Oh, yeah. I was going to actually transition into that. That topic. So I was on Twitter, and I saw a article posted on Twitter regarding Hideo Itami's future on the main roster. And I shook my head when I saw this and said, this is a complete joke. If they do this, this is going to hurt him badly.
They walking out
to Glorious 205 Live, and I'm saying glorious in a very sarcastic way, not to offend Bobby Roode, because that's the definition of glorious, not 205 Live.
No.
But they want to send him to 205 Live. Hideo Itami, the guy that was the Noah heavyweight champion, the guy that could have been the NXT champion. They want to send him to the freaking cruiserweight division.
They're just asking for him to leave pretty much by sending him there. I saw that, like, no.
I don't get it. They really don't.
I don't either.
Faith in Hideo Itami. They don't think he can be a strong Intercontinental Tag Team or United States champion. Like, you really have to send him to the cruiserweight division, the division that's ran and that's reigned, the division that has the division that has the Chia Pet as the champion.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Hideo Itami leaves soon after that.
I don't blame him.
Division. I already know what's going to happen, Mike. I'm already predicting what's going to happen.
He's going to lose a couple matches, and then he's going to want to walk out because he's going to be just limited there and treated like another low card guy.
Well, no, you know what? Well, that's probably going to happen. But the way I'm thinking is Enzo's going to retain. He's going to declare himself the best cruiserweight of all time at Survivor Series. He's going to declare that no one worldwide can beat him. And then Hideo Itami's going to come out and crack him with the GTS. And there you go. Hideo Itami is officially in the cruiserweight division. God, that is horrible. That is awful. And that just goes to show you they don't have faith in Hideo Itami like Triple H and everyone at NXT did.
Oh yeah, just because he gets injured a lot, probably, which is not his fault. Things happen.
Mm-hmm. Oh man,
match would have happened if he never got hurt. Though. I mean, it probably would have, not skyrocketed Finn Balor to the career he had in NXT, but still, I'm sure Finn would have been okay.
Yeah, that is a huge what if. What if Hideo Itami hadn't gotten injured in 2015?
Oh,
yeah, definitely. But I mean, yeah, a lot of what we've been talking about so far, guys, is the fact that the talent on NXT, when they come to the main roster, they're not being used properly like they should be. There have been a few occasions where an NXT call-up has actually been booked properly. For example, Samoa Joe. I know Samoa Joe hasn't been in too many notable feuds so far. I know he was just coming foods, I know. You were botching, I'm botching. BSP, we botch, baby. But anyway, yeah, Samoa Joe so far has been doing fine. I mean, when they brought him up to the main roster, he immediately attacked Seth Rollins. He had a good little feud with Sami Zayn, which was nice because that continued the little feud from NXT. Remember that 2 out of 3 falls match?
Yes.
That was awesome.
That was one of the best matches of the year.
Joe has been good so far.
Yes.
They haven't watered him down. He's been this in-your-face badass. Doesn't care if you're bigger, stronger, he'll come to fight. I mean, he freaking took over the face-to-face interview between him and Brock Lesnar and straight up told Brock, I'm going to find you, I'm going to kick your ass.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately, he was derailed a little bit by an injury, but he's back. He choked out Apollo Crews. He choked out Titus O'Neil. He's most likely going to join Team Raw, for Survivor Series. He's doing fine.
Yes.
So far. And hopefully he'll finally get a Universal title shot. Hopefully, well, he got a shot, but hopefully he'll win it. Because I honestly thought he should have won the title from Brock at Great Balls of Fire.
Oh, yeah.
And gone into SummerSlam as champion. But it is what it is. And I still think he should have kicked out of at least one F5.
Yes, I agree.
Have Brock use multiple F5s to beat him. But other than that, and one loss to Seth Rollins, which really didn't hurt him because it was a case of Seth catching him off guard.
Yes.
He hasn't really had a problem. He hasn't really been booked bad,
Right. His matches with Roman have been good also.
Yes, he has had some very good matches with Roman Reigns. So Samoa Joe's doing fine so far. WWE, just keep it going. Keep booking him strong and eventually build to him and Braun Strowman one of these days.
Yes, I want to see that match.
They've had little altercations, interactions, and multi-person matches, but imagine the two of them just one-on-one.
That would be awesome.
That indeed would be awesome. So he's been doing fine. Roman Reigns, need I say more? He's been doing fine. The Shield have done really well on the main roster.
Oh yes,
I gotta say that they've done really well as a unit and as solo stars. Despite Roman's controversial push, they have been doing well. I mean, I think CM Punk even said it that they were the 3 most protected guys since like Bobby Lashley,
Yes.
But they've done their thing on the main roster, especially Ambrose and Rollins when they had that awesome feud from 2014.
Oh yes, I can't wait to see that feud get reunited sometime down the line.
I would love to see it get reunited in time for WrestleMania with the Rollins first. Yes,
that's what needs to happen.
It can happen, definitely.
Oh,
I'm just trying to think of some other really strong NXT call-ups that have.
I'm just trying to remember, not get up between NXT and FCW. Like Big E, like was he NXT or was he FCW?
He was NXT.
NXT. Okay, yeah. He's found his way with the New Day as well. I mean, even when he was a single star, he had a good Intercontinental title run as well. I enjoyed it there. Yeah. I guess I still see singles success with him as well, but like I'm still enjoying his run with the New Day though.
Oh yeah, he has the look of a strong big man that can be pushed. Well, like think of this. Go back to the street fight between the Usos and the New Day in Vegas. There was a point where Big E was cleaning house.
Oh yes.
And when I saw that, I was like, dude, if you book Big E like that, he could be a major player. Just this dominant big man. I mean, he was kicking the crap out of both Usos by himself. That's the Big E that's the Big E I was hoping we would have gotten when he was turned face and was the Intercontinental Champion. But that's the Big E you can still make a major player in WWE. So how about this, Mike? How about, because we're throwing out a bunch of names, they may be on a list, let's get to our list of the top 5 best and top 5 worst NXT call-ups. After that, we'll go back and talk some more. We can talk a little bit about Asuka, and then we can give final thoughts and call it a day. Yeah, all right. So, guys, we're going to share with you our list of the top 5 best and the top 5 worst NXT call-ups. We're going to start with the best first, and then we'll get to the shit. So, Mike, why don't you start off with your top 5 picks for best NXT call-ups from 5 to 1.
All right. So as I said again, I only went back to as far as like 2015 because again, I didn't want to get people from like NXT or FCW mixed up from like 2012 to 2014. Like I just wasn't sure which ones were from which group. So I mostly based it off of there. Now I could say that there's people again on this list that, you know, some of them I was like, they had their moments where they were probably lost in the shuffle. They had their bad booking moments, but they still have some of their good moments. And for the ones that are not successful, it's mostly, you know, just a lot of bad booking for them as well. But for my top 5 successful ones, number 5, we kind of touched on him before already. I have Samoa Joe. I only put him at number 5 because, I mean, he's only been up for just this year, but he's been used really well in the roles he's been played. Like he said, he first debuted Night at the Rumble. He took out Seth Rollins. Him and Rollins probably would have had a match at Fastlane if Rollins didn't get hurt. But again, they put him in that good feud with Sami Zayn just to get him going. Would have been nice to see him have something to do for WrestleMania, but unfortunately he was left off the card, which I was a little upset about that. But you know, it is what it is. I was interested in seeing if they were going to build off some alliance with like him and Kevin Owens and maybe someone else from NXT since they seem to be pairing a lot. But then Owens went to SmackDown during the Superstar Shakeup. But Joe still held his ground. He had a strong feud with Seth Rollins. I still think also if Braun Strowman didn't get hurt, and he would have been available for Extreme Rules, I think Seth Rollins and Joe should have had an Extreme Rules match at Extreme Rules. So that's where it looked like the direction it was going, with Rollins getting, you know, the lucky like roll up victory at Payback. But then, as we said last time, to the surprise, Joe won. But he got the title opportunity against Brock Lesnar. And you see, a lot of people, I think, you know, definitely think, like, you know, we're upset that Joe and Braun both lost to Brock. But, I mean, the reason why I'm not as mad about Joe losing because, you know, they didn't, you know, put too much momentum on Joe. But, like, just enough that even, like, you know, with Brock, like, sneaking that F5 in there, even though Joe didn't kick out of it, I felt that Joe still maintained his momentum on there because he was still doing, you know, he hasn't gone all out yet, but he's definitely brought some stuff up to the table from when he was on NXT, such as, like, you know, just going out of his way and just attacking anybody, like showing he's not afraid of anything and just taking out anybody, just going as far as, you know, just targeting Brock, but to a part where it's like, yeah, he's getting the upper hand on him, but he's not like totally destroying him like Braun was. And then for Braun just to go up against Brock and just get his arm weakened out and then just to, you know, make the power slam look awful. But either way, I still think Joe's run so far has been successful, but he hasn't had like that many opportunities yet. But for what he's been getting, he's been doing well. So that's why he's my number 5. My number 4 is someone who he came up around WrestleMania 32. He got some momentum right away because he won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I'm talking about Baron Corbin. He was definitely like one person at the top of my list that I was excited for the most this year because from the moments I saw him on NXT, he looked like he was being built up more as like that wild card, like someone who could be in the NXT title picture, but not really ever intended to win the title, but to eventually, like, you know, help put like some other baby faces over and such like that. Which made him a successful heel though, also because he was booked as like he just didn't care. He wasn't like, you know, a huge coward or anything like that. He came to the main roster, won the Andre the Giant. He was, you know, in a feud with Dolph Ziggler that wasn't terrible, but it just dragged on for too long. He proved how many times he could beat Dolph Ziggler. Before I thought it would be like, you know, just like, you know, a one match thing. Like he just tears through the crowd, getting him up to that mid card spot. But then putting him on SmackDown. He's taking advantage. They built him up pretty well. I was a little disappointed that his match with Dean Ambrose, though, at WrestleMania this year got put on the pre-show. I thought that was when, like, the iron was hot. Like, you could have struck with him winning the Intercontinental title there, but then Ambrose went over to Raw. I thought he was a good choice with Money in the Bank. Unfortunately, that didn't go as well as I had hoped because John Cena kind of cut off his momentum. They've given him the United States title, which I was okay with how it started because he did beat AJ Styles clean on SmackDown without anything, cheap anything. I know they're having him in this random feud with Sin Cara right now, which I'm not really that interested in at all, but I'd say he's at least had like some good momentum going. Like, he's not completely, destroyed yet, even though, I was really upset how they just ripped the briefcase off him and John Cena just, made him look like a joke at SummerSlam. But I think he so far still has had good success so far on the main rosters. That's why he's my number 4.
All right.
My number 3 is someone who was kind of lost in the shuffle in NXT at times, but it's obvious that if she would have stayed down a little bit longer, because she was brought up during the draft, she probably could have at least been in a women's championship picture, but that was where, Asuka, had taken over, and there was no chance of, her really getting the title, but she could have been in a feud with Asuka. Maybe, it could have been for TakeOver Toronto if she was still down there, but what happened with her and Mickie James, cool with that. But speaking of Mickie James, this person was involved with Mickie James at the beginning of the year, Alexa Bliss. Again, she probably could have used maybe a little more time down at NXT, but I still think it was still safe to bring her up. It wasn't like she was brought up too soon or anything like that. She came up. She won the number 1 contendership. Had a feud with Becky Lynch, which that was really, really good. She won the SmackDown Women's Champion. Then they brought in Mickie James, but then I didn't like how they cut that alliance with her and Mickie short. I know they were going up against each other in that 6-pack challenge at WrestleMania, but they still could have, had it where, a little bit of tension happened, but they couldn't have, split them up like that. And they brought them both over to Raw. They could have ran with it until, they just had their feud recently at TLC. Then they could have split them up then. But either way, still, Alexa was still all right, despite, the feud with Bayley didn't really go too strong for Bayley. Well, Alexa, all right, but she's still able to, pull it off strong with the Raw Women's Championship. And I just think for, her limited, how limited she was down in NXT, she was still able to, pull off some strong up on here. So that's why she's my number 3. My number 2 is Kevin Owens. He came up, he first beat John Cena clean, his first match at Elimination Chamber. Yeah, he lost the next 2, which kind of held him back a little bit, but he still went on to, have good matches against Cesaro at SummerSlam that year. He then got an Intercontinental title shot against Ryback. He had a run with the Intercontinental title throughout the fall. He then had a good feud with Dean Ambrose that led to that really great last man standing match for the IC title at the Royal Rumble in 2016. Definitely one of my favorite matches of 2016. And then he did get the Intercontinental title back right before Fastlane, and that's when Sami Zayn came up. Him and Sami had another classic feud up on the main roster. They had a great match at Battleground, and Payback also in 2016, but Battleground when the feud ended. Even though Sami won and went nowhere after that, Kevin Owens was still, looking good as well. He paired him up with Chris Jericho and the team of Jericho, despite the fact that, they overexposed them in the fall when they feud with Rollins and Reigns. They still had their moments as well. They became birth to the list of Jericho. Owens had a run with the Universal title despite that being booked like crap, but he still still remained irrelevant when he was chasing for the title. And then he did have a couple of good matches with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, like the Hell in a Cell match with Rollins. I thought that was their best match. Him and Reigns, despite the terrible build, had a good match at Royal Rumble this year. He did get squashed by Goldberg, I know that, but they did kind of set the reset button back on him. They make him back just like that deadly badass Kevin Owens that he was down at NXT. His runs to the United States Championship weren't too bad at all. I know they kind of went back and forth a little bit, but I thought though those were at least a little bit better than his Universal title run. And then him recently, just taking a step up, attacking Vince McMahon Hell in a Cell match with Shane was good. And now him and Sammy are doing good things together as a tag team. Hopefully, probably they'll be wearing the tag titles. I'd say probably at the beginning of next year or whatnot. So despite some bad booking, I still think Owens has been decently successful on the main roster. That's why he's my number 2. And my number 1 was a pretty obvious pick. Someone who has really, despite the fact that this year they probably aren't really like being pushed in the big picture as much. She was gone for a while, though, because of her father's illness. But even before that, when she was on Raw, she was just tearing it up. She kind of just ran out of her options on Raw, put her on SmackDown. And now, even though she's in a little bit of a pointless feud with Natalya, that's just like, it's not terrible wrestling-wise, but storyline-wise, there's just nothing to it. But still, you can't deny Charlotte so far to me has been the most successful talent I've seen coming up from NXT. She won the title. The talent was always there. She just had to develop a little bit more of an interesting character. She turned heel on Becky, and she pretty much just pulled off the tactics that her dad used to pull off, being the dirtiest player in the game. She feuded with Becky, and then Becky, Charlotte, and Sasha had that great triple threat at WrestleMania 32, which year before, all 3 of them were not even on the main roster. And they just stole the show that night. She had a decent feud with Natalya, and then her and Sasha, despite that feud being a whole hot potato thing, just had a great feud that just cemented and brought back like the greatness of women's wrestling to the main roster. Her and Bayley was okay, and then put her on SmackDown. I mean, she hasn't really done too much on SmackDown yet, but it looks like she's probably going to be getting a run as a face soon with the SmackDown Women's Championship. But either way, I think Charlotte so far is my number 1 as successful NXT call-up.
All right, nice. That's a nice list, Mike. I like it.
Yes.
God, I was gonna say something before we go to my list. Yes, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, they need to win the tag team titles at the start of the year.
Yes.
And go into WrestleMania as the tag team champions and leave WrestleMania still tag team champions, and then maybe have them split up around SummerSlam time.
Sure.
Always go back to that feud. They're destined to fight forever. And, I just wish Sami Zayn would have gotten better booking after beating Kevin Owens in such an emphatic fashion at Battleground. You would have thought Sami Zayn was destined for big things after that win, man.
Oh, yes, but nope. He got put on the pre-show for SummerSlam, and Kevin Owens got paired with Chris Jericho, and eventually would get the Universal title.
Yeah. Hey, and one thing, Mike, I just need one thing. I need your word that I can beat a McMahon senseless. Yeah.
You have my word.
You gave me your word that I can beat a McMahon senseless. Yes.
Yes.
That was great, Kevin Owens' work. All right, so let's start. Excuse me. So now it's gonna move over to my top 5 list of best NXT call-ups. Coming in at number 5, I have a little bit of a. I'm gonna say that 3 of my picks are pretty similar to yours, pretty much the same, but I do have 2 other picks. So coming in at number 5 is Paige. I feel like Paige has been one of the better women's wrestlers to get the call up to NXT. I mean, she made her mark right from the start on day 1 when she got called up the night after WrestleMania 30, got a Divas title shot against AJ Lee, and beat AJ Lee to become Divas champion, youngest Divas champion in WWE history. And then from there, she went on to defend the title against likes of Tamina. And I know you hate this, but I have to say it, Mike. Alicia Fox.
Oh my gosh! I just wanted Paige just to squash her when that happened. I'm like, can you just shut up, please?
Alicia Fox, yes, that crazy Sky Captain that came out on Monday Night Raw and brought out Nia Jax.
Man.
But not trying to lose focus here. Yes, Paige did have title defenses against Alicia and Tamina. Dropped the title to AJ when AJ returned. Then turned heel on AJ, and they had their little feud for the title that culminated in a match at SummerSlam that saw Paige win the Divas title back. But then she dropped it in a triple threat involving Nikki Bella at a Night of Champions for his Clash of Champions. Paige has gone from face to heel here and there. I did like the feud she had with Charlotte. I know that there was some controversy that arose when she mentioned Charlotte's deceased brother, Reed.
Yeah.
There was some controversy regarding that. But Paige has done fine for the time that she has been on the main roster. I know we haven't seen her since the summer, I believe, right, of last year following the draft.
Yeah.
We haven't seen her since, but for the most part, she did fine. You know, she wasn't as anti-diva as she was on NXT, but she still had the talent. Former, you know, two-time Divas champion. Had good matches. I liked her stuff with AJ Lee. I like when she teamed with AJ Lee. That culminated in the match at WrestleMania 31, which I was there live, against the Bella Twins. And yeah, you know, Paige also was a part of Team PCB with Charlotte and Becky. Originally, they were called the Submission Sorority.
Yeah.
And
then they turned that. They changed that because it sounded a little suggestive.
Well, there is actually something called the Submission Sorority.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But for the most part, Paige has had a good run on the main roster. You know, coming up with my list of best NXT call-ups was a little challenging because, I mean, we unfortunately remember a lot of bad NXT call-ups, but there have been some good. Paige was one of the good. Was she one of the all-time greats? No, but I mean, for this top 5 list, yes. I think for what they gave her, you know, she might have had some bad booking, but she did her thing, and we are hoping to see her back, rejuvenated and everything in WWE. Just time will tell. But yeah, number 5 on my list is Paige. Number 4 is Kevin Owens. I mean, Kevin Owens, just like Paige, made an impact right from the start. Beat John Cena clean on his first his main roster debut at Elimination Chamber. Went on to have, you know, 2 more great matches with Cena, which I was not a fan of. We predicted he was gonna lose the rematch because Cena had to get his win back, but I was not a fan. I flipped my shit when he tapped at Battleground, dude. I was so pissed because I was so pissed at Vince and at John Cena for allowing that to happen. I hated that. I was so concerned for Kevin Owens.
I forgot he tapped in that one.
He won 2 Intercontinental Championships, had a great feud with Sami Zayn, competed in the Intercontinental title ladder match at WrestleMania 32, was in the Money in the Bank ladder match, you know, last year as well. Went on to form the great team of Jericho with Chris Jericho. Of course, Owens got that big Universal Championship win, which, yes, the title reign was crap because they booked him like a traditional chicken shit heel and a chicken shit champion. But he did have a great Hell in a Cell match with Seth Rollins, a really good no disqualification match with Rollins. A few weeks later, had the really good match with Roman at Royal Rumble, the no disqualification match. Got squashed by Goldberg. I knew that was what was going to happen, but it was all because it had to be Goldberg and Brock for the title. That's another story. But Owens has done fine. You know, he rebounded, you know, split from Jericho, won the United States Championship 3 times, had 2 really good matches with Jericho, one at Mania, the other at Payback. Had a great match with AJ Styles at Backlash for the United States Championship. And even though he lost a few times to AJ Styles after AJ won the belt back at inside Madison Square Garden in New York City, seeing Owens return to that ruthless, aggressive side of him, beating up Vince McMahon, savagely beating up Shane McMahon, that's great. He's doing great things with Sami Zayn. Hopefully they don't drop the ball with them. And like I said, I think they should be tag team champions at the start of the year, going into WrestleMania as champs and leaving WrestleMania as champs. So Kevin Owens has, despite some bad booking, like you said, Mike, he's had a strong run on the main roster, strong success. He's won titles. He's been in WrestleMania. He's been in SummerSlam. So despite some bad booking, he's had a strong run on the main roster. Number 3 on my list is actually your number 1, Mike, and that is Charlotte. Charlotte, of course, has won the Raw Women's Championship the most times since it was introduced at WrestleMania 32. She was also a former Divas champion, defeating Nikki Bella and in Nikki Bella's long reign. Charlotte, they booked her like the dominant woman on Raw. She was the queen on Raw, despite how many times she had to take the belt away from Sasha Banks. I really wish Sasha would have just had a strong 3-month reign while they were continuing their feud. It was a great feud. Like you said, you know, they always had great matches going back to their time in NXT. And on the main roster, they had a great match at SummerSlam, despite it being sloppy. Balls Count Anywhere match. I didn't see their Iron Woman match, but they had a great feud. You know, Charlotte has the talent. You know, it's not like they just it's not like they forced her onto us. Charlotte has the talent. You know, she, despite how many times she won the Raw Women's Championship, because after a while it just got annoying that they were just constantly giving her the title, but she has the talent to back it up. Great matches with Sasha, like I said. She was part of that historic triple threat at WrestleMania 32, had a solid feud with Becky, solid stuff with Bayley, which really should have ended at Mania and not at Fastlane. You know, that's another story for
Oh, yes.
But Charlotte, whether it's Raw or SmackDown, she's one of the best women's wrestlers out there. You know, I really can't recall Charlotte having bad booking, despite when she was in Team PCB being a part of the same tag matches every week. That was just irritating, and that was just annoying and redundant. But other than that, Charlotte has proven why she's the queen, and that's why she's number 3 on my list. Now, coming in at number 2 is Alexa Bliss. And I gotta believe Alexa Bliss is undoubtedly one of the best NXT call-ups to the main roster from the women's division. I mean, I can't think of a bad thing that happened to Alexa Bliss since being called up to the main roster. You know, right off the bat, you know, I was a little concerned for her because she hadn't had an NXT Women's Championship run, but she had been in NXT for a while. Comes up to the main roster, you know, she's already thrust into the SmackDown Women's Championship 6-pack challenge. You know, she had matches with Naomi and some others. She won the title from Becky Lynch in a tables match at TLC. Alexa had a strong run as SmackDown Women's Champion, and then she went over to Raw. She beat Bayley for the Raw Women's Championship, and that made her the first woman to win both the Raw and SmackDown Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships. You know, Alexa Bliss, great heel character, great women's wrestler, has really come a long way since her days as the Sparkle Princess on NXT. And she's just one of the best heels in the company. I mean, I love how she does it. And, you know, excuse me, Alexa will tell you herself.
Alexa Bliss is the best. Say what?
What?
A little late there, buddy.
Yep.
But it's all good. But yeah, Alexa Bliss, one of the best. I'm really happy. And surprisingly, she hasn't had any bad booking. Yeah, she was in that crappy Bayley This Is Your Life segment. But other than that,
Still haven't watched that to this day.
yes. But other than that, dude, she hasn't had bad booking. So I'm really happy with how well they've booked her and the faith that they have in Alexa. So Alexa Bliss is my number 2. And my number 1 for best NXT call-up is not one person, but 2 people. It's Big E and Xavier Woods from the New Day. Now, a lot of people may not know that Xavier Woods was actually in NXT. He was in NXT around the same time Big E was in NXT. And when they got called up to the main roster separately, Big E was called up a year and a half before Xavier. And Big E, I remember seeing him when he first debuted in 2012. He was like Dolph Ziggler's bodyguard.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember seeing him and I'm thinking, this guy's got the look. This guy's got the potential. And it wasn't until, I want to say, maybe August or September, before they turned him face, that you started to see he had some potential. He was a good big man. He turned face. He won the Intercontinental Championship from Curtis Axel. The only problem was he didn't do anything as champion. He had title defenses, but he didn't have a notable run. And then Big E dropped the title to Bad News Barrett, and he had a brief feud with Rusev. He had a brief feud with Rusev at, I think it was the
Payback, I think.
Yeah, Payback and Money in the Bank pay-per-views, I believe they had matches, which were some solid matches. And then Xavier Woods got called up to the main roster. He was immediately thrust into a feud with Rusev, and they paired him up with R-Truth.
The Funkadactyls.
No, they weren't Funkadactyls. No.
Oh, that's right. They weren't. Yeah, I think they were. I think he feuded with Brodus Clay because I think Xavier took his song or something like that.
Yeah.
That's why I was thinking of Funkadactyls.
With Brodus Clay. Then he was thrust into a feud with Rusev. Actually, you know what? Xavier Woods. Okay, let me correct myself. Xavier Woods came up in the fall of 2013. He was there for a little while, and then he had that feud with Rusev. Him and Truth had that feud with Rusev. And then when they weren't really getting booked properly, they came together with Kofi Kingston and they formed the New Day. Now, if you were to tell me that the New Day, despite how they were getting some reaction, but then they started getting the New Day sucks chants at the Royal Rumble in 2015 and everything. If you were to tell me they would go on to become one of the best tag teams in WWE, probably the best tag team in the WWE right now, I probably would have never believed you, given that they had a good debut, but they weren't really doing much. When they turned heel, they were off to the races.
That's all they do.
Yep. When the New Day turned heel, they were off to the races. They won the tag team championships. Should have never dropped them to the
primetime
players. They should have never dropped them to the primetime players. They should have held on to those titles from Extreme Rules 2015 to Extreme Rules 2016 and had a year-long reign there. But they dropped them. They got them back at SummerSlam. They did a bunch of great things. They feuded with the Dudley Boys. They feuded with the Lucha Dragons, with the Usos. Xavier Woods introduced Francesca, and Francesca to the Trombones. And then, Mike, they coined one term that ultimately became a cereal.
Bootios.
Bootios.
They make sure
you ain't booty.
And they ended from a Bootios box at WrestleMania.
Yes, they came out of a Bootios box. They had a Bootios t-shirt. Then they did the Halloween Bootios, the Christmas Bootios. The New Day, 3 great talents, came together. They did their thing. 2 came up from NXT. 1 was a workhorse and veteran on the main roster. Big E and Xavier, I don't know where they'd be if it wasn't for them coming together with Kofi and forming the New Day. But in my opinion, for everything, not just their success inside the ring, but the fact that all the merchandise that they've spawned, the unicorn horns, the cereal boxes, the t-shirts, the catchphrases, the trombones, the Funko Pops, the action figures. The New Day has to be, without a doubt, the best NXT call-up. Xavier and Big E and Xavier from the New Day have to be the best NXT call-up, in my opinion, just because of all that success.
Yeah, that's a good pick. Again, I didn't have Big E on my list. I couldn't remember. I know if it was NXT or FCW. There's no reason why I didn't put him on my list. But yeah, that's definitely a really good number 1, I'd say.
Yeah, not definitely. Because like I said, look at everything. And they were getting booed at the Rumble and at WrestleMania 31. The crowd was chanting New Day sucks. And then they turned heel. And from there, they've killed it. And it's because of their talent that they are 4-time WWE
World Tag
Team Champions.
I seriously remember the first time that I literally popped for the New Day was when I was at SummerSlam 2015 with Dan and our one other friend, and they came out and I forgot they sung some parody of something, and then that was the first time I remember the whole crowd going like New Day rocks. Like that right there was when I think they really hit their peak when they won the tag titles there. They were off to the race from there. I mean, they were picking up some momentum already from Extreme Rules, but I think they really nailed it with that segment right before that Fatal 4-Way at SummerSlam that year.
Yeah, when they did their rendition of New York State of Mind by Jay-Z and Alicia Keys.
Yes.
Yes.
I just remember we all started chanting New Day rocks. I'm like, geez, you must go. We telling them these guys sucked.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so guys, we started off with the good, and now we're gonna talk about the bad. Yes, Mike. Oh my God. Hey, Mike, what's the sound you make after you had to after you relieve yourself in the bathroom? Oh my God.
Oh goodness.
All right, here we go. So now, guys, we're going to talk the top 5 worst NXT call-ups. And there have been some bad NXT call-ups. There have been good, and there have been a lot of bad. And we're not fans of the bad, but we're going to talk about, in our opinion, the 5 worst NXT call-ups. Mike, without any further ado, if you'll do the honors, so to speak, if you'll kick off this list.
All right. So my list consists of a lot of people who really do not have much success at all. Some of them have just been booked poorly. Some of them mainly got somewhere, but then they've just gone down the tubes ever since. So let's get this rolling here. My number 5 is Tyler Breeze.
Yes.
He came up, I think, right before Survivor Series in 2015. He had a strong run down at NXT, was probably meant to be like a strong mid-card contender. He had that feud with Dolph Ziggler. They paired him up with Summer Rae. I think their first match at Survivor Series wasn't bad, but then Dolph started to beat him after that, and just afterwards, it was all downhill for him then. He went like, 0 for his next 49 or something like that. He was just thrown into random, jobbing matches. I mean, the best match, like the highest profile match I think he got thrown into was that fatal 5-way right before Fastlane 2016, where he took the pin, though, from Kevin Owens for Owens to win back the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
After that, he was just, jobbed left and right. They threw him with, first it was him and R-Truth in that terrible feud with Goldust and Fandango. Then they reverse the matches or reverse the teams or whatever. Fandango turned heel, and then that's when Golden Truth formed. They had that terrible feud that led to that. I remember Gene, I think, mentioned this last year in our end of the year awards video. That match they had on the pre-show at Money in the Bank, where Breeze and Fandango were sunburnt. And they had to wrestle in that match, and the whole time the stuff on their skin was just peeling off, and they were you couldn't like touch them without them freaking out like that. They got thrown into that terrible crap, and then even the name at first, Breezango. How childish does that sound? You just pretty much just take two names of two random people who one of them had a WrestleMania match, and then he's completely nothing after that. To Tyler Breeze, who was amazing on NXT, complete bullcrap now on the main roster. But then eventually this year, they finally at least started doing something with them, developed a little bit more of a character in them with the whole Fashion Files. But now it's to the point where it's like I still enjoy the Fashion Files, but they're getting nowhere with them.
Exactly.
Dragging this on. It should have been resolved at Battleground. I do not know why they kept it going. I don't know if either because if it was the Bludgeon Brothers, maybe they felt that they weren't ready yet, or if it's as a pain. I don't know. This just shows that they have no idea what they're doing backstage, and it's unfortunate Tyler Breeze has just suffered. He should have been in a solid, at least running for the United States Intercontinental title as well. But now he's just in some random tag team with Fandango, which they've shown they can be entertaining, but we need to get somewhere with them. So that's why Tyler Breeze is my number 5. My number 4 is a tag team. Now, I would hate to say that they weren't successful, but just how they were when they came up, to how they are now, to one person being in the cruiserweight division, the other person being on the shelf with a knee injury, Enzo and Cass.
Yeah.
What happened to them? When I first started watching NXT, they were like the biggest hit at the time. They were feuding with the Revival. They were putting on awesome matches. They were entertaining. They got a big crowd reaction when they first came to the main roster. And then all of a sudden, I think things were all right, I felt, with them until they had that feud with Rusev. And that's when I think Vince became obsessed with, Enzo getting laid out as he's laid out in that hotel hallway after he thought he was about to, get it on with Lana.
Yeah.
And then they threw in Jinder Mahal there, and that feud, which it was fresh at first. I'm like, okay, it isn't too bad. A feud between Rusev and Big Cass at least, and it just went nowhere. It made them worse. It made Enzo instead of sound entertaining, sound annoying. And then there was no tension of them really splitting up. I still, though, to this day feel that, despite the run with Cesaro and Sheamus have had as heels, I still feel that it should have been Enzo and Cass turning heel on the Hardy Boys, not them, because I felt that all the momentum was on them at the time to win the tag titles going into WrestleMania. If the Hardys did not come back, I felt that was their match to win. And after that, they just pushed them off to the side, had another pre-show match. We haven't seen that 5 or 6 times with Gallows and Anderson. And then they just randomly split Enzo and Cass up, which at first, I was upset when they did that. But then, after hearing that promo that Cass cut on Enzo was with him saying, "Your mouth writes checks that your ass can't cash." But it was all truth. I had to, believe that, hey, you're right. They booked Enzo like crap. He's holding you back pretty much. But then they had his feud with Big Show, which that went terrible. Now, Big Cass is currently on the shelf with a knee injury. And now Enzo is running the cruiserweight division, which despite the fact that he's hated backstage big time, they're still throwing the low card title on him. What sense does that make when there could be other guys that you have heat on that you're not even like giving them anything to do at all, you know?
Yeah.
Just like what they've done with them. They made them from like the most popular tag team into the most annoying idiot on the roster, who is now a guy who has no singles potential, is now the Cruiserweight champion. And then Big Cass is sitting at home with resting up his knee. Hopefully he'll be back after WrestleMania. Hopefully he'll actually get good booking because he can actually cut some pretty darn good promos.
Yeah. If I can just say something real quick, Mike, I think the best thing to do if Enzo is still in the Cruiserweight division, if he's still a champion, by the time Cass returns, is have Cass be like Enzo's bodyguard, his enforcer, and have Cass just kill the entire Cruiserweight division.
Pretty much. That's
a great way to reunite them. Turn Cass, make them a heel tag team. And then eventually we can take Enzo and Cass out of that. Enzo, fucking Cass is 7 feet tall. He ain't a cruiserweight. But take Enzo out of the Cruiserweight division and have them go after some tag team gold once and for all. Because I agree with you. Was it for the Hardy Boys, I think it would have been Enzo and Cass getting their WrestleMania moment.
Oh, yes. I mean, you sure you don't want Cass to lose like about 100 pounds and go down about 170 pounds, and he'll be taking out Cedric Alexander and Arya Daivari and all of them.
Well, you know what? As if the division isn't already dead, you just have Cass kill them all.
Pretty much.
Yeah, no. Big Cass, when he comes back, reunite him with Enzo, have him be a heel team, and then have him win some tag team gold. I don't care if they're on Raw or SmackDown, have him win some tag team gold as heels.
Oh, yes.
Yes, because I think I like Enzo despite how hated he is backstage, but plays a great dick heel, a great prick heel.
Yes.
So he's working. He's working with it. Yeah.
Oh, yes. All right, my number 3. Now, I could have picked 1 or 2 people, but my number 3 was someone that I felt that was not ready yet to come up to NXT, but they brought her up because she probably was going to be do exactly what they did down on NXT with someone who had been back and forth between NXT that was just recently released. And then injuries may have, been the reason why this person has not been as successful, but they still ran her with Charlotte, but that didn't go too well. But that's Dana Brooke. When they brought Emma back up, I'm like, okay, she had been up in the main roster before. She's needing just some fine tuning. Okay. They brought up Dana Brooke. I'm like, this is a little bit too soon, I felt. But I thought, you know what? Her and Emma may have worked on NXT. Maybe they can do it up here and help, Dana build up as well. Well, then Emma got hurt. And at the time, it's like, what we do with Dana? You could just send her back down to NXT and polish her up as a singles competitor. Because other than I think she had 1 match against Asuka on I think NXT TakeOver Respect. What else opportunities has Dana really had as a singles competitor without an alliance with someone like Emma? They put her with Charlotte, which was okay, but it wasn't hitting it off for me. And then they just kept teasing them splitting up, but then they'd be fine again next week. 1 week Dana is in her corner, next week she isn't. Then they had that feud with her and Bayley. Went to that arm wrestling match on Raw, wherever it was. Then they had just a pointless match at Hell in a Cell. And then they turned her face, and now she's not even seen on the main roster anymore. You don't even see her on the show. So she was brought up way too early. Should have been on NXT a little longer. I mean, she's trying, it's obviously, but she was brought up way too soon. So that's why she's my number 3.
Yep. The only time you see Dana Brooke nowadays, Mike, is if she's running from Team SmackDown backstage throwing the makeup chair at him.
Oh, my gosh.
That didn't help her at all.
Nope.
That didn't help her at all.
She just needs to clean up in the ring, too.
Well, I mean, if you look at the way she was dressed, short, long sleeve dress and heels and all, I don't think she was going to fight, but I mean, still, why not have her try to stand her guard at least? That's her team. That's her brand that's getting invaded.
Right.
And now because of that, there's they made memes of Dana Brooke running. You can just put them with anything now.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. My number 2 is also somebody who I thought got called up to the main roster way too early, because I was scratching my head when I heard this person was coming up. I'm like, what? Really? Apollo Crews. He was only on NXT for 9 months. I think he debuted at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 1.
Yeah.
He had a feud with Tyler Breeze, Baron Corbin, which I remember that was one feud that I remember watching that with Dan, and we're like, like they did all right, but like they didn't really have the best chemistry together. Him and Corbin were on NXT.
Yeah.
He just never really. I think he did. I remember he did have one match against Finn Balor when Balor was champion. He just wanted to prove himself, but he didn't beat him. But I felt that he still had like a lot of potential. He had so much more to offer on NXT. They brought him up to the main roster way too early. I think he feuded with Sheamus in the summer of 2016, which it started out okay, but then they had another match on like Raw, like right after Money in the Bank. He lost. It was just gonna be 50-50 booking. They pretty much just pulled the plug on that.
I hate 50-50 booking.
And then I thought it was a good move to put him on SmackDown, but the most they did with him, they gave him an Intercontinental title shot against The Miz, and he lost. And after that, he was nothing until they put him on Raw, and then now he's with Titus Worldwide, which I thought was going somewhere. But then they for some reason, instead of just keeping Titus as a heel and fully turning Apollo heel, they turned Titus face, and that's when they focused on Akira Tozawa, and then now Apollo just got lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
You know, great talent he is, but like, you know, they've not built a good character. I mean, I read something recently that like, you know, part of it is because it's just the person he is. He's always, you know, nice guy, smiling around, but he just hasn't built up a character, and that's what's really hurting him up on the main roster. But definitely called up way too early. Should have been down in NXT for a while. Probably an NXT title run was definitely necessary for him, because you don't always have to have an NXT title run to get to the main roster. Well, as long as you're established. He wasn't fully established yet, so he unfortunately is paying the price by being called way too early. But that's my number 2. My number 1. Oh boy, the most unsuccessful NXT call-up I can say that I've realized. And again, these are people who I think have been called up at the earliest 2015. Mm-hmm. This is a tag team, a team that was legendary in NXT. Just to call up to the main roster and just to get nowhere. How do you go from the top of your division to nowhere up on the main roster? And now they're begging with the Fashion Police to be best friends. The Ascension. When they first got brought up, I thought, okay, these guys are going to be built up dominantly, and I was predicting WrestleMania 31, they're going to win the tag titles off of the Usos. Well, that was before the Usos dropped the tag titles to Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, which was complete for that because I like Cesaro. But let me see here. What has the Ascension done on the main roster? The most, as far as I can remember, was their feud with the New Age Outlaws, which I still like that segment with. So I just got one question for y'all. Who invited the jackasses? I mean, it was funny, but still, that's like when the Ascension started going downhill. They beat the Ascension. They beat the New Age Outlaws though at the Royal Rumble, and then after that, all they did was have a feud with the Mega Powers 2.0, Axel and Sandow, which that was terrible gimmicks for them as well. And then now that they're just certified jobbers for life who has terrible makeup. Like, seriously, who puts their makeup on? That just smears like crazy. They've been directionless. I thought maybe with the brand split, them going to SmackDown, maybe it'll allow them for more opportunities. But then SmackDown has not really done much. Well, a little bit better lately, but has not done much with their tag team division at all. So now they're just lost in the shuffle big time. To me, the least successful NXT call-up, I'd say, the Ascension.
I have to agree with you there, Mike. Great list. It's very important. I mean, there are other NXT call-ups we could mention that have had just very unfortunate success on the main. Well, I can't even really say success. I mean, they just have not been booked properly.
Oh yes.
Don't look anything like what they could have been on what they don't look like what they were on NXT. They're not even as big as they could have been. So it's a shame. So we're gonna now go to my list, my top 5 worst NXT call-ups, and I'm surprised this woman wasn't on your list.
Mm-hmm.
But my number 5, Mike, is Bayley. And
yeah, I was back and forth on that one. She was one of my people. Yeah.
I don't know how it was possible. I didn't think it was possible with how beloved she was in NXT and everything, but on the main roster, they have dropped the ball with Bayley in such a bad way. I mean, Bayley started off red hot when she had that one-night appearance at Battleground as Sasha Banks' partner last year against Charlotte and Dana Brooke. And then she finished her run up in NXT against Asuka, got called up to the main roster the night after SummerSlam, got a huge reaction from the crowd. Started off good, but she wasn't, going back to that thing with Dana Brooke, an arm wrestling contest. Like, I mean, every once in a while, that's fine to do because, I mean, you look at Dana Brooke, she's like she's a fitness model and whatnot. But, you know, she wasn't being booked like how she should have been booked. She wasn't being booked like she was on NXT. She won the Raw Women's Championship from Charlotte at Fastlane, which my biggest problem with that was it should have been at Mania. Bayley should have had a bigger Mania moment winning the title in that Fatal 4-Way Elimination match instead of a B pay-per-view like Fastlane.
Yeah.
And then she had her feud with Alexa Bliss, and that feud did her no favors. No favors whatsoever. She lost the title in a very good match at Payback. Then she got caned by Alexa. Alexa whipped the crap out of her with a cane. Bayley, this is your life. Not going to say much more. And since then, Bayley has just been losing, and she's not even close to being that beloved underdog, that beloved winner, champion that we loved, that we grew to love on NXT. I mean, she lost that kendo stick match without even getting any offense.
She didn't even take a swing with that stick either.
Yeah, I mean, that was horrible.
The biggest problem I see difference between her booking from NXT and Raw is that, yes, she is like that, like, fangirl. Yes, she is, like, you know, very similar with the crowd. But the problem is, like, they on NXT, they booked her as, like, a time where she knew where she could be serious. On NXT, she's just, like, this delusional fangirl who's just, like, always just, like, talking about, oh, I dream of this, I dream of that. It's like, you're not taking anything seriously, it seems like, in her character. And that's why I think a lot of people are turning on her.
On the main roster, you mean, right?
Yeah, main roster.
Yeah, no, they booed her when she had to announce her injury, the shoulder injury, when she wasn't able to fight at WrestleMania. They booed her, dude.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. Someone who was injured too, you know?
Yeah, that's the problem. And the other thing, what about some of those scripted promos, like her reading the poem and her talking about watching Tommy Dreamer use the kendo stick to prepare her for the match with Alexa Bliss? It was like, that's typical main roster booking, and that's not what Bayley should be booked as. She just needs to be booked as that fangirl that she should be booked as the fangirl, but there has to be a time and a place where she unleashes a little more of aggressive side. And think back to that great feud with Asuka. Remember when she started getting a little more aggressive?
Yes.
When she had to bring out, yes. She needed to bring that. She needs to bring that out in the future.
Right.
They haven't done that. She's just a fangirl. She loves WWE, like you said. She's reading poems and whatnot. That's not the Bayley that we need. And that's why, unfortunately, she has had horrible booking on the main roster. Now, I'm hoping they can do better in the future, but, I mean, so far, she's not had the best main roster run. And you would think they would do well with Bayley, you know, but they haven't. And I was always saying the one thing I'd love to see when Bayley's on the main roster is her team up with John Cena one night. What a team that would be in a mixed tag match. That's a huge team right there.
Wonder who they would face.
Yeah, it would be interesting. But number 5 on my list is Bayley, just because she's had horrible bookings since coming to the main roster. I hate the fact that they've made her, I don't want to say buried her, but they've really derailed a lot of momentum that she had or may have had. They're not doing her any favors. They're just booking her worse and worse and worse.
Right.
Number 4 on my list is Tyler Breeze. And Tyler Breeze was a huge success in NXT. He may have not won titles, but he was one of their best talents. He was an underrated talent. He was a dark horse. And then he comes to the main roster. He starts off good with the feud with Dolph Ziggler. Yes, they paired him up with Summer Rae. It seemed like Summer Rae, who's an NXT alumna herself, was getting paired with all these NXT alumni like Rusev and Breeze, and it never really did much for her. Yes, they were trying to establish her as a manager. She could have been a good manager, but the booking didn't benefit her or the guys that she was managing.
Mm-hmm.
So getting back to Breeze, after he beats Dolph Ziggler at Survivor Series, he's just losing and losing and losing until eventually he's paired up with, first you said R-Truth, and then he's paired with Fandango, and they didn't really go anywhere that much until they introduced the Fashion Files, which showed they're an entertaining team. But my biggest gripe with the fashion files is it's going on and on. It's like the Energizer buddy. It keeps going and going and going. And it's never gonna stop, which it needs to stop. But other than that, Tyler Breeze, despite some of the success he's had with Breezango, despite how in the beginning they were wrestling with horrible sunburns and crap like that, he's had success on the main roster with Breezango, but before then he was just losing, and how could anybody take him serious, you know?
Yep.
So, and Triple H even told Vince, like, what, protect Tyler. He's one of your he's one of the best assets, you know. And Vince didn't do a damn thing. Vince just let Tyler sink and sink and sink.
Yep. That's unfortunate.
It is very unfortunate. So Tyler Breeze, great talent. I think eventually Breezango should split and Breeze should just be a single star. But yeah, I was really excited when Tyler Breeze got called up, but he's not had the best success on the main roster.
Nope.
Coming in at number 3. Here's another person I'm surprised didn't make your list, Mike. But coming in at number 3, and this is someone who recently left WWE. I think you know who I'm talking about. Emma.
Neville? Oh, Emma.
Emma.
Yeah, I was back and forth too. Because like I said, like, you know, just I don't know why I feel you're a little bit more successful than Dana Brooke, but at the same time, like, they both didn't really get anywhere. But yeah, definitely Emma.
Yeah. Emma, when she came up to the main roster, she brought her dancing gimmick, and who'd they pair her up with?
Santino Marella.
Mr. I wasn't ready. Yeah. Emma, I'll be real with you. When Emma, I didn't watch Emma in NXT, but when she first came up to the main roster, I hated her dancing gimmick, dude.
I did too. I'm like,
I'm
like, how could this woman wrestle? She can't even dance.
Did she have that gimmick in NXT?
I'm not 100% sure. I wasn't watching NXT. I know only thing I know about her before then was I remember hearing that she had a good feud with Paige for the title in NXT. It's the only thing I knew.
Yeah. So anyway, she came up to the main roster. She had that dancing gimmick, and I hated that gimmick in the beginning. I was like, this is the worst thing ever. It's just throwing her arms up. That was the worst thing ever. Now, I will give her credit. At Survivor Series 2014, when she was on Natalia's team, she actually impressed me with how well she did in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, Emma wasn't really doing much. She was in that match, the infamous match with the Bella Twins, where she lost in 25 seconds. That's what started the whole Give Divas a Chance hashtag.
Yeah.
Went back to NXT, and while she was on NXT, she killed it with Evil Emma. I loved it. She was great as Evil Emma. Then she came back to the main roster in 2016, got injured, and since coming back, she hasn't done anything notable. I mean, this is a woman who feuded for the NXT Women's Championship with Paige. They had a great match at NXT Arrival. And, you know, she was one of the best women's talents on NXT. And then she gets called to the main roster, and she's nowhere near successful. And that dancing gimmick, I don't know if it came with, if that's what she had in NXT. But, yeah, it's like, how can you not take advantage of Emma? And take advantage in the sense of using her talents properly. She could have been a top women's champion. She could have been feuding with Sasha Banks and Charlotte, Becky Lynch, but no, they never knew how to book her. She was never in any notable feuds on the main roster, and the only notable thing she did was have 2 good matches with Asuka, and then she was released.
Don't forget about the Emelina run.
Oh God, that was the worst. That was, to me,
17 weeks.
That was the biggest slap in Emma's face. They gave her this stupid gimmick that was never going to work in the beginning, and then they had her drop it. I seriously thought, Emma, you need to get the hell out of WWE if they don't start booking you properly. That really, really pissed me off.
That was the icing on the cake there, I felt.
Yeah. I thought she was going to leave for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And then she got released. And you know what? I think it's for the better, because I heard on Twitter she's already getting booked for independent shows and whatnot.
Good. She deserves it.
That is good. because they'll utilize her properly. WWE had 2 chances. 2 chances. You didn't have one. You had 2 chances with Emma, and you blew them both times.
Oh yeah.
And don't forget, Emma had a feud with Summer Rae.
Oh gosh, yeah, when she was dancing.
Yeah, yep. And Emma was they used Emma as a plant in the beginning because she was always in the crowd with the sign Emma-lution.
Yes, I remember that.
It's very unfortunate that a great talent like Emma got wasted on the main roster. That's the whole theme we've been talking about, guys. Great talents from NXT when they come to the main roster, unless you're a Roman Reigns, a Seth Rollins, or a Dean Ambrose, or a Samoa Joe, or any of the other 5 we mentioned, you get wasted on the main roster, which is a damn shame.
Oh yeah.
What is it about the main roster that can't book NXT talent properly when they finally make their main roster debut? What is it about the main roster? I mean, I don't get it.
Who knows? They're probably too much. They're probably too good, and they make Roman look like crap.
Hey, it's not always about Roman Reigns, all right?
Exactly.
I like Roman, but it's not always about Roman Reigns.
Right,
yeah. Other great talent that could be the future of the company and carry that company for years.
Exactly.
You know, it's like they pull me to the side. It's like I'm at work one day, right? And I'm saying everything's fine. And they pull me to the side and they say, but you got to make Roman look really strong. And I'm like, no, I was just going to fucking shit all over him. Like, fucking Superman him and GTS the shit out of him.
I just like this, just that small little pause. Like, no, I'm just going to screw around with him and whatnot. Yeah. Like he has whenever he talks about that.
They pull me to the side. It's like, hey. It's like they pull me to the side. They tell me everything. Yeah. All right, great. That's awesome. And then they stress to me. They grab me by the arm and they stress to me. Rob, you gotta make Roman. I got a better one. Listen to this. So we're going over the live stream. Everything's going good. And the YouTube administrators, they give us the final go. Everything's ready. One of the guys pulls me to the side and says, hey, whatever you do out there, you gotta make Daniel look really strong.
By putting over Donald Trump.
No. I was like, no, you know what I was gonna do? I was just gonna bury him and just shit all over him. I was gonna shit all over his Pittsburgh Penguins. Just GTS the shit out of him now. And I love you, Dan. You know we love you, man. But that was they pulled me to the side and like, go out there, you say whatever you want on the live stream, but you gotta make Gene look really strong. You know what? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna let them take over the live stream. You know what make them look really strong? If they take over my live stream. Because 2 guys can't take over the Robert Kenobi live stream. That's just dumb. Channeling my inner CM Punk to talk about a time that never happened when we got to make Daniel and Gene, the 2 guys that aren't here, strong. It's like, yeah, no, but you got to. No, yeah, we're going to put you over. You got to make Daniel and Gene. It's like, God damn it, I know how to do the live stream, all right?
I get it, all right. Just move it on now.
If one more person comes up to me and says, I got to make those 2 look strong, I'm going to kick them out of the Horsemen, and it's just going to be me and Mike. I know how to do the job. Shut the fuck up. It's like, I'm telling you, if one more YouTube administrator comes up to me and says, I got to make some person look strong, I'm kicking everybody out of the Horsemen, all right? I'll be the only Horseman alive. But of course that wouldn't happen, but I just wanted to say that for shits and giggles.
Oh, yes.
All right, getting back to our list, guys. Wrap these things up. Coming in at number 2 is Apollo Crews, another great talent on NXT that surprisingly didn't get a title shot. He was called up early, like Dana Brooke, didn't get a title shot, didn't get a chance to be established as a strong champion, and on the main roster has not done a single damn thing notable other than compete for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. I mean, again, another great talent wasted, which really pisses me off because I love Apollo Crews. I love his run. I loved his run in NXT, as short as it was. He has the talent. He could have been a freaking heel jock character. His catchphrase in the Indies was too easy. You could have had him beat some jobbers easily, then have him beat other talent on the main roster that aren't being used properly. He could have been just so cocky. Titus could have been endorsing him during the matches and whatnot. Remember that one time Apollo had to spell his name out to AJ Styles?
Oh, yes. And he did that to Miz also. It's like, I am Apollo Crews, not Creed. I forgot about that. Yes.
Actually, I thought if they turned Apollo heel and he was just that full-fledged cocky heel full of himself, he could have spelled his name out. That would have made more sense if he was a heel. Just like, you know, like a cocky heel. He feels like there's no competition. He's beating people too easy. He could say to people, "What's my name? Cruz, Crews, Cruz." Like, just like get in their face. That's a perfect heel, Apollo Crews. But didn't you say something like he's too nice of a guy to be a
face? That's what they were saying. Like, I read an article recently saying that he's like too nice of a guy and he's always smiling and whatnot backstage.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sure that the guy can make a character if you actually give him something to work with. You know?
I think he was a heel in the Indies as Yuha Nation. I think he was a heel. Yeah. Anyway. But unfortunately, like the theme of this, and we don't mean to sound like broken records, guys, but once again, great talent, just not utilized properly on the main roster. The whole Titus Worldwide endorsement could have really benefited him. You know, the whole Titus Worldwide brand could have been, imagine if it was Apollo, Sasha, because Sasha, they kept like teasing Sasha would join. Do you remember that?
Sasha, I don't remember Sasha. I remember one time seeing a segment with them teasing Dana joining, but I don't remember Sasha.
That was pointless as hell. It should have been Sasha. Why Dana?
I don't know, because it's someone else who has nothing to do, so they're making that
why
it seemed pointless. So yeah.
If it was Apollo, Sasha, Akira Tozawa, Titus as the leader, obviously, and maybe even Rich Swann. That would have been a great Titus Worldwide brand right there.
That's
two cruiserweights who could have been like tag champs. Apollo, who could have been the Intercontinental champ. Sasha as your women's champ. Oh my God! Like, look what I did. Just look what I did right there.
Yep, that's too much though, Robbie.
That I know, because too much doesn't equal positive for WWE or whatnot. Because I did something logical, and logic is a no-no in WWE.
Exactly. What is logic these days?
You know what else is? You know what else isn't logical in WWE? Wins and losses don't matter. Tell that to a certain somebody. You know what they're gonna say? Oh, you didn't know?
No.
Your ass better block somebody.
By the name of Daniel Garza.
Which is unfortunate. And number one, I think you already know who my number one is gonna be, Mike. But my number one is the definition of how the mighty have fallen, and it is the Ascension. 2 months in, they look strong. Yeah, that ridiculous feud with the Meta Powers. But since then, they have just been jobbers. I can't recall the last time the Ascension won a match that actually meant something. I can't even recall the last time they were on a pay-per-view in a significant match. It's just really horrible. How did those guys go from being the most dominant tag team champions in NXT to becoming one of the worst call-ups, the worst call-up in my opinion, and one of the worst overall on the main roster? How have they not been in a serious feud or tag team title program since arriving on the main roster?
I don't get that either. Like, what happened that made them look so bad? And they even like make their appearance look terrible as well.
The whole thing with them looking like the Legion of Doom and Demolition, that was a no-no.
Right.
They should, if they were gonna do face paint, do something more gothic or something more like the Bullet Club used to do.
Yes.
That would have been more acceptable, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And I've met the Ascension in person. They're nice guys. They're some very nice guys. I met them in person at WrestleMania 31 at Access.
Nice.
So it really bothers me that they've received this bullshit booking. They've been buried, man. Like, they're buried. Oh, yeah. There's no way they're ever coming back. And they honestly need to leave WWE and just go to the independents. Yes.
I'm surprised they haven't been released yet, honestly.
Yeah. Instead, they're playing patty cake with the fashion.
Patty cake.
It's like Napoleon Dynamite. Remember freaking Uncle Rico? I'm gonna tell you something right now. You're out there playing patty cake with your friend Pedro.
Oh my goodness, playing patty.
That's exactly what they're doing.
It pretty much.
Hey, Mike, let me tell you something. While Ascension's out there playing patty cake with their friends, the Fashion Files, Fashion Police. I'm sorry. I've been screwing up my lines here and there, but BSP, we botch. That's the rules.
Yep, yes it is.
Yeah.
Oh god.
But yeah, I mean, what else can I say that you haven't already said, Mike? Connor and Victor, so dominant in NXT, and then they come to the main roster and they're just treated like shit, and they haven't won a single match since they won a match on SmackDown. And after that, I think it was the night before or the week of the Chamber, they won the match before that tag team turmoil, and they still lost.
Yeah. I remember, I think last year also, I remember Gene mentioning, I think their record before this year was like 2-58 on the main roster.
Jesus, man.
2-58. And I'm like, is that against jobbers? Does that count their victory against the New Age Outlaws? Like, what is that all including there?
The thing, what I think needs to be done is when you bring up an NXT talent, if you're going to bring up someone as dominant as Ascension, bring in local competitors wherever your shows are, like Raw and for SmackDown, for instance, and build them up dominant, and then thrust them against like the Usos or whatever. I thought they would have faced the Usos too at WrestleMania.
Right.
So yeah, that's my number one, guys, the Ascension. I feel so bad for those guys because I like them. They were really nice to me at Access. They were really nice guys. When I met them, for the 2 minutes I met them, or for the 1 minute I met them, whatever, it was a real nice experience. And it's just a shame to see them getting booked like that.
It is. I can't believe it either.
I mean, like, what was it? That Fashion Files where Breeze ate a cheeseburger or something and it looked like he fainted?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember whether it was said in that, but
yeah.
Yeah.
This it was lactose because it was gluten-free or some shit.
Oh, yeah, that. Yeah, that's.
But that's our list, guys, of top 5 best NXT call-ups and top 5 worst NXT call-ups. Mike, let's talk about Asuka real quick, because originally, before the first time we were going to do this video, it was the week that Asuka was going to debut at TLC. But now that we're doing it this week, she's already debuted, of course. So let's just talk about how she's been booked so far. So, Mike, do you think she should have been a little more dominant against Emma in their 2 matches, or were you fine with Emma getting the offense in that she got? What do you think so far with Asuka on the main roster?
I mean, you know, I was always for Emma getting the opportunity to look dominating, but I definitely think they could have made Asuka look more dominating as well, and not just another wrestler, because that's what they did to Shinsuke Nakamura. I felt they made him feel like just another guy on the main roster, not different and unique. She had that squash match last week against, like, what, Stacy, whatever the heck the jobber's name was.
Yeah.
She looked good there, but it's come to a point where we talked about how there's been a lot of these NXT call-ups that have been called up, and just they're treated like they're just another person coming up and not just being honored for the success they had down on NXT. So that's why I'm just holding my breath every time Asuka comes out, because I don't want them to screw her up, especially with, you know, going as far as having her not lose a single match in NXT to bring her up on the main roster. Like if you screw this one up, it's worse than screwing up Bayley.
Yeah, no, that was Asuka. I've always been concerned about because of that undefeated streak. She went practically 2 years undefeated, dude. How is WWE on the main roster going to replicate that?
Yeah, that's
if they let her go a year without losing.
Yes,
that's gonna be a miracle. But I will give them kudos if they let Asuka go a year without losing. Now, here's the thing: she needs to look a little more dominant on the main roster.
Yes,
and you gotta believe she's gonna be on Team Raw in the women's elimination match at
Survivor Series.
Survivor Series, yeah. So, Asuka, if I'm booking Asuka, I'm having her score the most eliminations in that match.
Yes, definitely.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'd have her score the most eliminations. If you know, she'll probably have a match with Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship. She's most likely gonna take the Raw Women's Championship from Alexa Bliss. You know, I would just book Asuka. I'd have her eliminate like 3 or 4 women, but do not have her get eliminated in that match. WWE, if you have her get eliminated, you're stupid as hell.
Oh, yes, definitely.
That is horrible. But no, so far, she's done fine. And when you think about it, Mike, when she fought Emma, Emma took it to her.
She did.
So Emma's really like at the time when she debuted in NXT, Emma was the only one that really took it to her.
Right.
So that's why, like, I thought they had a good match. I thought Emma looked good. Asuka looked good. I do totally understand where you guys are coming from. Like, you want to make her look dominant as she was in NXT. So that's why I didn't really have much of a problem with Emma getting the offense that she did. But let's not drop the ball, of course.
Right.
If she fights Alicia Fox, have Asuka take her head off.
Please.
At the start of the match.
Begging you.
Knock her out. Yes. Do not let Crazy Girl get any offense in. You know what you could do? You could have, because Alexa Bliss isn't going to be in the match because she's the Raw Women's Champion, of course.
Right.
But a great thing you can do is have Alicia Fox and Asuka be like the two remaining members of Team Raw. Have Asuka kill everyone on Team SmackDown. Not literally, of course, but have her just eliminate them all. And then have Alicia Fox get jealous. You do a match with Alicia Fox and Asuka on Raw and have Asuka just take her head off with one shot, and that's it.
Please.
Because if Alicia Fox gets offense in on Asuka, Alicia freaking Fox, if Crazy Captain, who dressed herself up and was doing like the flight captains do on the planes, if she gets offense in on Asuka, we're in trouble.
We are.
Yeah.
I cannot stand her. All right.
So we've already said what we said about Asuka. I mean, and you know what, Mike? We did a top 5 list, but there are other NXT talent that have not had a successful call-up to the main roster. You know, I could think of Bo Dallas. Yeah. He started off strong with the winning streak and Bo leave, and then he lost. His first loss was to R-Truth.
R-Truth. Oh,
I know you don't like R-Truth.
I'm sorry, I can't stand him.
And you know, Neville up until
I was in between about.
Yeah, because up until him becoming the Cruiserweight champ and turning heel, they weren't doing anything with him.
Nope.
And he got hurt, unfortunately. He shattered his ankle in that match with Jericho, remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
And nothing for him.
I know.
Sasha Banks was also one I was back and forth about as well, because despite she's actually, had some good momentum, she really hasn't had like that lengthy title reign yet. So that's why I didn't include her.
Yeah.
I was back and forth.
And she's been in some pointless feuds with like Nia Jax. No disrespect to Nia, I love Nia, but she's been in a pointless feud with Nia Jax. She and Alicia Fox had that feud, and then Noam Dar got thrown into the mix, and Rich Swann got thrown into the mix. So it's like,
please don't remind me of that feud. Please don't.
But she's had some pointless feuds,
She's been limited as well.
Yeah. Balor, Nakamura, I don't understand why they've had pointless feuds as well. Like, okay, well, I'll put it to you like this. Balor, I don't understand why he was feuding with Elias, and then this feud with Bray Wyatt really should have ended a while back,
Oh, yes. This is
so Balor's been all right. He could be better. Nakamura, the same thing. I just don't like how he lost twice to Jinder Mahal. That really pissed me off.
He's only won one pay-per-view match also on the main roster, Nakamura. That was his match against Dolph at Backlash.
Yeah, so hopefully after Survivor Series, hopefully he has a strong run in the elimination match, and then they'll pick things up and he can get back on track.
Maybe win the Royal Rumble and face AJ Styles for the championship at WrestleMania.
That would be beautiful. That would be
awesome.
Yes. Bobby Roode. Okay, why did Bobby Roode have to lose to Dolph Ziggler? Why did his first loss on the main roster come 2 months after he debuted?
I don't know.
Really? Why can't, when it comes to the first loss for an NXT alumni on the main roster, why can't it come at a special time, at a pay-per-view or something? Why can't it mean something?
Right.
They just had Ziggler. Granted, he had the tights, but they had him beat Bobby Roode in a rematch. I'm 50-50 booking right there.
Yep, just treat like another guy. And already too. Why did they have to bring him up as a baby face? I was really confused on that.
Yeah, I mean he can make a baby face work.
He could.
And then like I was talking with Gene, have him turn cocky and arrogant when he becomes the champion, and have him be that great heel he was at NXT.
Right.
Oh, speaking of NXT, and this dude didn't make my list, but where did we go wrong with this guy? Ty Dillinger.
Yeah, him. I was close to putting him on my top 5, but my gosh, we can't even. All he's done. Best thing he's done is be just like there's like a pond in this feud with AJ Styles and Baron Corbin that just. I mean, let the Corbin win the title, but it just didn't really feel like it did anything for anybody.
I'm surprised he's not feuding with Corbin.
I'm surprised too. Yeah,
Corbin and Dillinger instead of Corbin and Zingano, which is pointless.
Oh my goodness! Why are they all of a sudden doing something with him? It's like how it was with Neville last year. Vince, I think Dan said Vince is tripped over one day. It's like, what are you doing here? Get out there or whatever. But
now, you know what? Like they should have this whole Sin Cara thing. They should have done it for 1 week. He comes out, Corbin comes out, Corbin beats him down, retains the title, or it wasn't even a title match, beats him down, further establishes him as a dominant heel and champion, and then you do him and Dillinger.
Sure.
How hard is it to book that? That's so simple. You could have been doing Corbin and Dillinger at Survivor Series because there's a storyline and a feud actually.
There is, but nope, can't do that.
Yeah. Who else? Revival.
They just got unlucky because of injury.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
can't.
They haven't really done much. They've done like 2 things. They beat the New Day a couple times, and then didn't they beat the Hardy Boys too?
I think they beat the Hardy Boys, yes.
And then
they beat Gallagher and Anderson also, I think, or was that an interference in that match?
I don't know. I don't remember, but yeah. So the Revival they've been saved a little bit, but it's unfortunately due to injury. But hopefully we'll establish them versus Ambrose and Rollins. That's the way to go.
Yes, it is. That will eventually set up for Rollins and Ambrose to start feuding with each other, I'd say.
Because it was inevitable that the Revival were going to get called up, but it's like, unfortunately, because they haven't been on TV that much, it feels like they're not even there.
Right.
Wait a minute, didn't Dash Wilder compete on solo?
I've seen he's been competing on main event, but I haven't seen him actually on like Raw or anything since Dawson
Has he
got
been
hurt.
winning on main event at least?
Wait, what?
Has he been winning at least?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I just remember just looking at the results and seeing Dash's name on it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's winning.
So we'll see what happens with Revival. Becky's done fine. I think, though, she needs to turn heel. I think we need to do a heel turn with Becky Lynch.
I think it's time we can do that now, yeah.
I think it's time for that frustration to finally get to her, and she takes straight fire to a whole new level.
Oh, yes.
Carmella Carmella's doing fine. She could be a little better as Miss Money in the Bank. But she's doing fine. Okay, here's another one that didn't make our list, but I guarantee you he would have made our list. He would have been an honorable mention or something. Rusev.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting he was on NXT too. Yeah,
one of the worst. He wasn't on my list, but I mean, like, he started off really well when he first debuted, and then he hit a roadblock in 2015 named John Cena.
Yes, that I Quit match at Payback, I think, did it all. That pointless match that did not need to happen. He got back on track somewhat in 2016 just to be fed to another roadblock named Roman Reigns.
Yes.
And now he's going running around screaming Rusev Day and partying.
I knew you were going to say that.
He's partying like a little kid whenever he wins a match.
Dude, do not. Okay, if they can make a Swift Cyborg t-shirt like they made a Vince McMahon mugshot t-shirt, they're going to make a Rusev Day t-shirt. Just watch.
They probably are. I'm not going to buy it, though.
Watch. But yeah, like Rusev, he starts off well, then he runs into a roadblock, and it takes him forever to get back. Then he gets back on track finally, and then he hits another roadblock. It's like, and then the fact that he and Jinder Mahal had separate matches where they lost to Big Show and Cesaro at Fastlane before they both went to SmackDown, and then Rusev had the flag match with Cena.
When he was supposed to return, if he was going to get a title shot against Randy Orton at Money in the Bank, and then they decided to change their mind and go with Jinder Mahal, and that's when they dropped that whole ball, and then they brought back Rusev like nothing happened. He said he wasn't going to come to SmackDown unless he got that title shot. And
they brought him. He came anyway.
Yep. And he had that with Randy Orton.
Yeah. And let's not forget the Wyatt family also were on.
Oh, yes. Oh, man.
The Wyatt family have had they've had ups and a lot of downs.
A lot of downs as of late.
Yes.
Now they're
particularly
the freaking Bludgeon Brothers.
I know.
We'll see what happens with that.
Adam Rose was on
yes.
NXT. He did fine on NXT, and then on the main roster, I really didn't care for the guy.
Don't be a lemon, be a rosebud.
That's it. I have no problems with Zeb Colton and Jackie Swagger. I just want to have them fun. But they're lemons, Mike. They're bitter little lemons. But let's not forget why Adam Rose got fired.
What was it again? It's been that long. I can't remember.
Domestic battery dispute or something.
Oh yeah. I remember he got arrested or something. I remember.
Yeah. Who else was on it? One person I almost mentioned, Mike, that was originally on my top 5 list, but they were not in NXT as it is now. They were in the game. They were on the game show portion of NXT, but they actually did fine on the main roster. Was AJ Lee.
Yeah, that's right. Because she was on that Diva Search or whatever it was called.
Yeah, she was in the women's season of NXT when it was the game show, and I was gonna put her, but all of mine are NXT talent that made their way through Triple H's NXT and then arrived on the main roster. Yeah, so AJ Lee had to cut from the list, but she was one of the. I think people forget that AJ was on NXT before she became the Black Widow and everything on the main roster. But yeah, she was on NXT, and so was Caitlyn.
CM Punk.
Yep, and so was Caitlyn. I think Naomi was on NXT as well.
As for the Funkadactyls before her and Cameron came up.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, it's amazing to see a lot of people that were on NXT, whether it was the game show edition or the actual NXT developmental brand. You know, Titus was there, Darren Young, Wade Barrett, Daniel Bryan, Ryback, Justin Gabriel, Heath Slater.
Bray Wyatt was, when he was Husky Harris was a part
Husky Harris, yeah. Curtis Axel
when he was McGillicuddy.
Fandango as Johnny Curtis.
Really? That was Fandango.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. You know somebody we could have put for an NXT call-up that wasn't was a wrestler but has had more success at commentary is Corey Graves.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so he got cut short with injury.
Yeah, it was because of concussions.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, he could have been, put on here as well.
Yeah, he could have made the list.
Oh yes.
But yeah, let's see. Anybody else before? Oh, you know what's funny? Okay, Matt Bloom. Matt Bloom was one of the trainers in
Tensai,
NXT.
right?
Yeah. And you remember what he was after Tensai?
No.
Sweet Tea.
Oh.
He was dancing around with a shovel with Brodus freaking Clay.
Tons of funk.
Yes. Cameron and Naomi, the Funkadactyls, Brodus Clay, and freaking Tensai. But he was a wrestler, and then he became an NXT talent.
Yeah.
But yeah, Matt Bloom was going around in a singlet, shoveling dirt as he was dancing.
Gosh.
Remember Booker T? Booker T would mark out whenever Brodus Clay would do the Tyrannosaurus or whatever it was with his hand.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
NXT. Who else from NXT? Real quick before we wrap this thing up. Who else has either had a good or unsuccessful run?
I think who else have we forgotten?
Yeah.
We talked about Nia a little bit. She's done all right.
Yeah. I was surprised to see her back. I thought she left.
I thought she was gone too. Yeah.
Yeah. Nia's done all right. She could have been doing a little better.
We talked about Sammy, I think, already.
Yeah, Sami Zayn.
Trying to think who else has been on NXT.
Oh, hey, let's talk about this guy from NXT, Mike, because you're always asking why they're doing something completely different with him than what they did on NXT. The guitar player.
Elias. Yeah.
Elias. So
he's done all right so far.
Yeah, hold on. As we were saying earlier, guys, the one thing we don't like about NXT call-ups to the main roster is that on the main roster, the NXT alumni don't have continuity. So Mike has brought up a point. In recent weeks, Elias Sampson, and yes, I'm calling him Samson, I'm not calling him Elias,
right,
smacked people with his guitar.
Right.
But on NXT, he never liked using the guitar as a weapon. Why all of a sudden is he using it as a weapon?
I don't understand that at all.
Yes, that is something you've asked many times, and this is a lack of continuity from NXT to the main roster. He broke down when Cassius Ohno destroyed that shit, and now he's using it as a freaking weapon.
Right.
They're trying to make him Jeff Jarrett 2.0.
Doesn't make any sense. Now we're getting a guitar on a pole match tomorrow.
Oh, God. I saw your tweets. I am not even watching that crap.
Oh, my gosh.
That is horrible booking. My guitar on a pole?
Anything on a pole for me is terrible. I hate those matches. It's just so modified of a ladder match to me.
Yeah, I hate. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. If we can get TN Couponer to endorse us to go to WWE and write, that'd be nice.
Please.
Yes.
Delete
I mean,
all stuff on a pole matches, please.
No, oh God. Hey, you know remember the idea I ran your way, Mike, during your Halloween stream? Roman, Braun, title for title inside Hell in a Cell at Mania?
Yep.
That's a WrestleMania main event, and that'd be the perfect way to culminate their feud.
It would be.
Yep. And I gotta thank you for the little plug during your SmackDown review on Halloween night.
Oh yeah, sure thing.
Yeah. Yes. WWE, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Please hire us. Hashtag please sign Mike. Hashtag please sign Robbie. Hashtag please sign Daniel. Hashtag please sign Gene.
Just anybody except for Kevin Dunn.
Kevin Bucktooth Dunn. Kevin Bucktooth Bucky Beaver done.
Hey Kevin, you're done. That'd be a great way to fire him. Hey Kevin.
Yeah.
You're done.
Done. Hey Road Dogg. Oh, you didn't know?
No. Your ass better block somebody.
No. Your ass is getting kicked. No, hold on. Let me think. Hold on. Give me a minute. Think of this. Oh yeah. Road Dogg, oh, you didn't know? Your ass ain't gonna ride for nobody.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Road Dogg, you were one of my favorites in the Attitude Era, but I'm sorry, man. You can't write.
Nope.
You
Sorry,
my
man.
buddy Daniel Geyser. That ain't.
Yep.
Yeah, you blocked my buddy Daniel Geyser because he was speaking the truth. So yeah, you don't want to listen to reason. So there you go. You lost points there, buddy.
Oh, yep.
Wonder if TN Couponer just wrote, wonder if WWE would make a Beaver plush doll of Kevin Dunn.
Oh God.
That is horrible. I'm actually looking at the chat right now. Let's take a look at what TN wrote. He said WWE could have Samoa Joe win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at Mania. Well, I think he said they could have had him win it at this year's Mania at 33. Or maybe at 34. But I think at 34, he needs to be in a high-profile match.
Oh, definitely, yes, by then. Not in the Battle Royal.
Okay, this next thing he's tweeted me a couple times, and I've seen it. Josh, TN, I've seen this. You don't have to tweet it to me anymore. Tyler Breeze got a nice pop on his debut on SmackDown. Yes, I remember that. I remember he got a nice pop. But they never did anything with him after that other than him beating Dolph at Survivor Series.
Oh, yeah.
How long will it be until Asuka loses on Raw? Who will the first loss be to?
It's tough. I don't know. I just can't be somebody random. Like, I wonder if it could be someone who eventually like struggle to beat Asuka and eventually can overcome it. But
I would say the top 3 candidates to beat her would be Alexa, in no particular order, but if she was to ever lose the first time, I'd say Alexa, Sasha, and when they call her up, Ember Moon.
Possibly, yeah, or whoever wins the title at NXT Takeover War Games could be a possibility. Also, saying, "Hey, I took your spot. Let's see what would have really happened." You know?
Yeah. If they're not gonna have Asuka go on a year-long reign, I would have her lose at SummerSlam.
Yes.
I think SummerSlam would be the right time.
Right.
Not Mania, not any B pay-per-view before Mania, not the Rumble, and damn sure not at Survivor Series. I'd have the first loss be at like SummerSlam.
And definitely not at Great Balls of Fire.
Are they doing that next year?
I have no idea, but I think it's a possibility.
Yeah. TN also says Asuka could be the final survivor. Then at Royal Rumble, win the first ever women's Rumble by eliminating half the roster. Then at Mania, beat Alexa for the title. Yeah, there you go. Or have Alexa drop the title to Asuka before WrestleMania and maybe build up a Sasha, a Bayley, or yeah, pretty much Sasha or Bayley. So there you go. TN Couponer put hashtag poor Rusev, and he also wrote, Robbie, don't give WWE any ideas, and that's regarding the Rusev Day t-shirt. It's gonna happen, I bet. They're gonna make it, sure, just because they can. And let's see how many of those. It's like that god-awful Golden Truth shirt they released.
Oh gosh.
The one that looked just like Step Brothers.
That was pathetic. That was pathetic.
Yeah. And then TN Couponer says, I miss Caitlyn. I miss Caitlyn too. Caitlyn was a good wrestler for her time there.
She wasn't in there too long. How long was she really around for?
For about a year.
Yeah, not too long at all.
Because she had a feud with AJ Lee. I want to say for about a year and a half. I think 2014 was her last year, and then she left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I'm thinking of something right now regarding NXT. You know what? I'm gonna say this. Kairi Sane was pretty much my favorite going into the Fatal 4-Way, but I think now with Nikki Cross with so much momentum and Ember Moon having a little bit of incentive, I think any one of them could win the title at War Games.
Oh, I agree. It's not a probable match at all.
I was gonna honestly before Wednesday, I said Kairi Sane has to be the favorite to win it. But now I can see Nikki winning. I can see Ember Moon winning. I could see Peyton Royce winning, but she's probably not gonna win it.
Probably
so it's
not. No.
One of those three. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then is Ono fighting Sullivan?
I've heard rumors that match is gonna be made official soon.
Yeah. All right.
Which that shouldn't be too bad.
That should be a good solid match between those two. I mean, is it me or does Lars Sullivan have a face like Baron Corbin a little bit?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What else did I want to say real quick before we wrap this up? Because, dude, I think we hit the 2-hour mark.
Yeah, I think so.
We just did a 2-hour show.
We did with a SmackDown.
I wonder if we can do a 2-hour Raw. Oh yeah, we can do a 2-hour Raw. We can write the damn 2 hours.
But that third hour, we'll just write complete garbage.
No, hell no. We're not doing 3 hours. We're doing Raw. We're doing 2 hours. Sorry.
Oh yes.
I'm not. Triple H said it. That third hour is just a hassle. It's the hardest to come up with.
It is.
It's not a pay-per-view where you have the matches booked and you just use the time allotted to do the matches, you know?
Right.
Dude, Regal's announcement for War Games was fantastic.
It was. And I like how also that they kept calling NXT TakeOver Houston, and then they finally revealed the new logo. I'm like, yes, this is what I'm talking about.
WWE, NXT, simple storytelling like that, and simple anticipation and surprise.
Oh yes.
If you do it right, you have a good product. And NXT, I love it. And it's like, I find Roddy kind of like the odd guy in his team because he's with those two powerhouses, dude.
Right. I thought that was a little bit random, but I'm like, okay, let's see what we can do here.
No, yeah, it is a little random, but think about what it could lead to in the future. Roddy versus Adam Cole.
Yes. That's going to be a good match.
Yeah. And honestly, dude, until last week, I seriously thought it was going to be McIntyre and Adam Cole, but I misread that.
Too.
Remember?
Yeah, because it's going to be them at that live event the night before War Games with HBK as a special guest referee.
Yeah, which is reasonable because you want to build to that. Eventually, Adam Cole's going to get that title, but you want to build to it. Yeah, so right now, they're going after Sanity and AOP because Red Dragon want the tag titles, and I'm looking forward to Andrade versus
McIntyre.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a good match. I'm looking forward to it.
Andrade's come a long way this year.
Yes, he has. And Zelina Vega keeps making me a fan. Like the Hurricane Rana to Roddy,
I still
was awesome.
She did.
Please let her hit a Hurricane Rana. I mean, I know McIntyre's a tall dude.
Right, yeah.
He's a tall dude. So it's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, I can't wait to see those two fight for the title. It's going to be exciting.
Yes.
See, that's a title match I'm excited for, WWE, because it's got the strong champion going up against a strong challenger. Not a so-called Maharaja who wasn't being booked properly going up against the beast that in real life would tear him apart.
Oh, yes. That better be a squash match, please. Not the main event.
Well, let's see what happens come Tuesday.
Yes, with AJ.
I'm not getting my hopes up high, knowing WWE record, but I want to see what happens. I'm interested in what happens on SmackDown. I'm surprised they did what they're doing this, but let's see.
Let's see, yeah, especially if they call off.
Does that mean Rusev is now part of Team SmackDown?
I have no idea, actually.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It's interesting. I got to give it to WWE. This is a little interesting because it's making SmackDown like must see.
Yes.
You want to see what happens.
It is.
But what about Zayn and Owens?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they're probably just going to get. If you notice also, they're putting a bunch of baby faces on Team SmackDown right now. All four of them are baby faces. Yeah. So it's pretty obvious that Zayn and Owens are going to get involved somehow in the match. They seem to build up some tension with, obviously Shane, some with Orton, a little bit with Nakamura, nothing really yet with Bobby Roode yet, but that's three guys right there. They seem like they can target. So we'll see what happens. I'm pretty sure they're going to get involved in that match somehow at Survivor Series. Yeah,
we'll see what happens because Raw's team is just Angle and Strowman. Now, assuming Roman's healthy and cleared, he'll probably be on the team. And then Balor and Joe, you got to believe. But what's up with Balor and Kane?
Why is even Kane getting this big push all of a sudden?
Yeah, see, that's another thing. Like, why is Balor in a pointless feud with Kane of all people?
And he's just getting, tombstone. I mean, I thought maybe they brought him back because he was targeting Roman due to him retiring Taker, but now they're doing this thing where he says he was targeting Braun. It's very confusing.
Yeah, it's very confusing. That's why, like, what I've been doing lately is I've been watching some of Raw. But, like, honestly, there isn't anything on Raw that's happened lately that's made me – like, Strowman's return, as hokey as it was, him coming out of the garbage truck.
Him rising from the garbage.
Yeah, was still great because it's Strowman.
Right.
People love to watch Strowman, right? And, I mean, SmackDown rating Raw was awesome.
Yes.
I give it to him there. Strowman's return was great. Despite the hokiness of him coming out of the trash can, like not the trash can, but the garbage, the truck.
Yeah, the way we saw him running, like for the first time I've seen Strowman like running across the limo after the Mr. I don't know, to see like a big man like him running just cracked me up.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, like I could see why he's running because those guys try to kill him in a damn dumps in a damn garbage truck.
Oh, definitely, yes.
Well, yeah, good thing well, I don't think he was wearing dark pants, but
right.
what was I gonna say? So is Braun Strowman even human? Because he survived that ambulance crash when Roman Reigns tried to kill him, and then he survived the garbage truck.
It shows he's not human. He's a monster, all right.
I gotta give it to WWE. Even though Strowman isn't NXT alumni, they've booked him despite losing to Brock. Which shouldn't have happened. He should have beat Brock.
Oh yes.
Yes.
He's still looking good though.
No, he is. I think what they need to do is Strowman versus Miz, and Strowman wins the Intercontinental Championship. And then I don't care if it's versus Brock or versus Roman. You need to put Strowman in the main event of Mania in a title versus title match.
Yes.
Or a triple threat. I don't care.
Just something. He needs to be in the main event because he is probably the most developed star we've had this year.
Oh, yeah. I'd probably give him Superstar of the Year, even though he lost to Brock. I mean, like...
Probably. I mean, who else really is there,
Jinder Mahal!
No.
I'm kidding. No, I like when Heyman called him the make-believe Maharaja, and then he called the Sing-Song Brothers.
And then now the Stings are like just imitating Heyman and Lesnar when they come out now. I'm like, this is not entertaining. This is not gonna work. Just shut up, guys.
And then Mahal calling himself the worst nightmare. Nah, you are not Brock Lesnar's worst nightmare.
No, not at all. Come on.
That's why
Strowman could have been. Braun Strowman could have been a nightmare.
I'm sorry. Jinder has to drop that belt. He's not a champion.
He's run its course.
Champion. No.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not. He's not a believable champion. Anyway, guys, I think we're gonna call it a day. Mike and I might continue this chat offline, but we do want to thank TN Couponer for joining us live in the chat, and we do want to thank everybody who watches and listens to this afterwards. Brace yourself; it is 2 hours. If you do sit through all of it, we do appreciate it. But either way, we do appreciate you checking it out. So this has been from NXT to the WWE main roster, the gift and the curse. Sounds like an autobiography. Sounds like an album title. I love it. But it basically states the obvious. That there have been good NXT call-ups and there have been many bad ones. But I want to thank Mike for joining me here today. Mike, as always, you can get a plug-in for your channel, and I do have your channel link down below in the description box.
Sure thing. Thank you, Robbie. As always, you guys can find me here on YouTube at the Club Man 1993. Do wrestling videos, video game let's plays, whatever. You can also follow me on Twitter, where I usually tweet during Raw and SmackDown at the Man Airboy 93. And as always, make sure to check out Robbie's channel and our Horsemen Brothers channels as well. Daniel Guys and Gene from the BSP Wrestling Show. All awesome dudes. Please make sure to check them out.
Yep. Thank you very much, Mike, as always. And, of course, guys, you can find me here, Robbie1Kenobi, on YouTube. And also Robbie1Kenobi on Twitter, spelled the same way as it is here on my YouTube channel. Please support my fellow Horsemen brothers. Please support my channel as well. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Before we go off the air, I don't want to miss these comments real quick from TN Couponer. He asks, do you think Strong will turn on his team at War Games and join ROH? Maybe, but I think the way to go is Roddy versus Adam Cole. And then down the line, have Roddy turn heel and help Cole win the title. Join the Undisputed Era and help him win the title from Drew McIntyre. Mike,
who's gonna want to turn on AOP though? Like if it was somebody else, possibly, but not AOP. I wouldn't turn my back on AOP. I would be asking for my ass to be kicked.
Yeah. I wouldn't turn my back on AOP, and I damn sure wouldn't turn my back on Braun Strowman.
Oh, no.
Yes. And then TN also says, eventually Kane versus Strowman in a buried alive match. I'm for that if Kane gets buried alive.
Yes. And then lastly, he says,
okay, I like this. Lastly, he says, I think Strowman should win the Intercontinental title while outsmarting Miz to introduce a new element. # Braun has brains.
Oh, my goodness. I'm for that, yes.
That'll be cool. That'll be cool. All right. So without any further ado, guys, that'll end this live stream. Thank you all for watching and listening. So Robbie1Kenobi signing off. Thank you again to Mike, a.k.a. the Club of the Man 1993, for joining us. And until next time, guys, peace. And we will see you guys in our next video. Everybody have a good evening.